Back in February of this year when Valve announced the Steam Deck, they also said that they would be making an official dock for the device as well. 8 months later, that dock finally came to market, which was close to around the time that I received my Steam Deck. So for me, the choice was obvious. I'm a big fan of first-party accessories, and as soon as I could push the buy button on the Steam page, I did. But what about the people that had the need or desire to dock their Steam Deck up until that point? Well, to fill that void, many companies started manufacturing docks well before the official Valve dock came out, and they still do, and at a much lower price tag compared to the $89 of the official dock. Today, not only are we going to revisit the official dock made by Valve, we're also going to be taking a look at some alternative ones that may suit your needs and at a much lower price point. Stick around, you might save yourself some money. Before we get into it, thank you so much for 10K views on the video where I talk about my first impressions and why I think the Steam Deck is one of the coolest gaming devices that exists right now. And if you're willing, a like and subscribe would really help me meet my goals for the end of this year. I really appreciate it. All right, so as I mentioned, we're going to revisit the official dock so that you can get an idea of what the pros and cons are of going with the official one over these other two docks that I have here with me today. I kind of can't believe that I get to say this, but these docks were sent to me by Funalot and YYDSTDK. For complete transparency, both docks were sent to me for free by Funalot and YYDSTDK and for review, and no money was exchanged to make this video. The fact that they were sent to me for free will not change my opinions in any way, and I appreciate the opportunity to take a look at these. Oh, and just as a reminder, if you want to pick up any of these products that I show in today's video, check out the video description for my affiliate links for the Amazon products. These provide me with a small kickback if you choose to pick any of them up, and it supports the channel, which is cool. All right, let's start by taking a look at the official dock so we have sort of a base for comparison for these other two docks that I'm about to show you. Right off the bat, the official dock is a bit smaller compared to the other two and is made of plastic. To be completely fair to the official dock, it feels really well made, even if it doesn't use an all-aluminum housing like the other docks. The slot on the dock fits the Steam Deck quite well. Even though I don't have a case for my Steam Deck, based on a bit of research, I would say if you do have a case on your deck, it's quite possible that it won't fit in this dock very well. Something else I'd like to mention too is that the dock in no way interferes with the ventilation on the back of the deck. The cable coming off from the dock that plugs into the top of the deck is my favorite of the bunch, being that it feels like good quality and is much more flexible than the other two. It also features a slant at the end of the 90-degree connector housing that makes it a little easier to get your thumb under to undock your deck. In terms of ports, we have a DisplayPort 1.4 port, an HDMI 2.0 port, power in via a USB-C port, which works perfectly with the supplied power adapter, which in my opinion sort of justifies the higher price tag, getting the same exact power adapter that comes with the Steam Deck itself, guaranteeing a flawless charging experience, a gigabit Ethernet port, and 3 USB 3.1 ports for your peripherals and anything else you might want to plug into your deck. On top of getting another power adapter in the box, you're also getting a first-party accessory that does get firmware updates and is officially supported by Valve and will assumedly be for a long time. Future firmware updates include access to MST or multi-stream transport, which essentially means if both HDMI and DisplayPort ports are in use, it will support daisy chaining monitors and even more displays. Not really something that I personally care about, but it seems cool. Also promised as a firmware update in the future is support for FreeSync, which, for those who don't know, FreeSync is a type of adaptive synchronization technology for displays that helps eliminate stuttering and juddering by synchronizing the monitor's refresh rate with the refresh rate of the GPU or graphics card, essentially assisting in displaying smooth gameplay more consistently. Moving on to the next dock, let's take a look at the Funalot unit. I really enjoyed the simplicity and looks of this dock. The housing is made from aluminum, giving it arguably a more premium look compared to the official dock, but that's sort of a subjective opinion. And I like the sort of space gray finish. No branding is present on this dock whatsoever, so if you enjoy something a bit more minimal and clean, this might be a great option for you. The slot to set the Steam Deck into is a bit wider than the official dock, and based on research, since I do not own a case for my Steam Deck, This is a great option if you prefer not to remove the case while docked. The rubber padding on the inside of the slot seems quite adequate for preventing any sort of damage from happening to your beloved Steam Deck, and the rubber feet on the bottom help keep it in place on your desk. This dock seems to cover a bit of the ventilation on the back. However, I don't see this being a major flaw, and I have no concerns about this affecting performance. The cable and right angle connector that plug into the top of the deck seem well made and offer a bit more clearance, it would seem, compared to the official dock. As you can see, the connector itself clears the deck a bit better, making it another great choice for someone wanting to rock a case or thicker skin on the deck. Like I mentioned, the cable is a bit stiffer, but it's really not that big of an issue for me. Removing the cable by pinching on either side of the connector and pulling up works really well, and this implementation is perfectly adequate. The ports on the back include a USB-C port, which, much like the official dock, can only be used for power delivery. The marketing material for this dock claims that you can use up to a 100-watt charger, but I wouldn't recommend anything too extravagant since the Steam Deck only supports up to 45 watts for optimal charging and operation. Save yourself some money unless you think that you can use that 100-watt charger for something else too. The HDMI port is again HDMI 2.0, supporting up to 4K 60 Hz, and the three USB 3.0 ports, not 3.1, are what you'd expect them to be. Interestingly, the gigabit Ethernet port is on the side of the device. I would have liked to see it on the back with the rest of the I/O, but this implementation works just fine. Flanking either side and with the Ethernet port is some of the only plastic that you see on the dock, but I think this looks great and adds nice contrast from the rest of the device. Compared to the other two docks, it is actually the lightest in terms of weight. That did not affect anything in my testing or with my time with this dock. Just something that I thought was interesting. In terms of performance, the dock did exactly what it said it would do, and I had no issues using an Elgato HD60S to capture and look at footage from the deck. The reason I mention this is because I've seen people online having issues with the video feed rolling infinitely, but I'm happy to say that this device had no issues like that. Overall, I'm quite pleased with this dock. Now let's look at the YYDSTDK dock. This dock, similar to the Funalot dock, features an almost all aluminum chassis and feels very solid. In terms of size and weight, it's similar to the Funalot dock, but weighs a bit more than the official dock. So that's what I mean when I say it feels solid. YYDSTDK went for a more interesting design on the top, which is very non-offensive and actually looks kind of cool. Again, subjective opinion. The finish on this dock is more silver, which looks great in person, and the dock features no branding, so it looks nice and clean. The slot to set your Steam Deck in is large enough to fit a deck with a case on, and this too covers up a bit of the ventilation, but I think this will have very little impact on the performance, if at all. The rubber padding looks to me like it's a little cheaper than the other options, but I'm confident that it will protect your device and keep it from moving around while docked. Also too, the rubber strips used for feet on the bottom work great for keeping the device from sliding around your desk. Moving on to the cable attached to this device, this is one big right angle connector. This connector offers what appears to be great clearance for those that want to dock and keep their case on, or for those that have a thick skin on their device, such as a D brand skin or something similar. The cable, however, is the stiffest of the bunch, but that won't affect the performance in any way. If you don't have anything to compare it to like I do, you likely will not care at all. In terms of ports, it's looking kind of similar to the Funalot dock. We have an HDMI 2.0 port capable of 4K 60 Hz and 3 USB 3.0 ports for all of your peripherals. On one end of the device, you have a USB-C port that is only used for power delivery. YYDSTDK has a similar claim that you can use up to a 100-watt charger, but again, the Steam Deck tops out at only 45 watts. On the opposite end of the dock, you have your gigabit Ethernet port. I think there's enough room on the back side of the dock to fit all of these ports, but this implementation is probably to help save costs and in no way affects the performance of the dock. Sitting on your desk with everything plugged into all the ports and cables coming out each side, it might get a little more messy, but with the right cables and cable management, it likely won't bother you. I have to say that my least favorite thing about this dock is the use of shiny black plastic on either side, where the power delivery and Ethernet ports are. It's very easy to leave fingerprints on this plastic material, and without testing it, I would bet it's pretty easy to scratch as well. But you probably won't be spending a bunch of time staring at this part of the dock, so I would not be too concerned about this. To wrap up with this dock, I had no issues capturing footage using an Elgato HD60S. Footage was clean and clear of the pesky rolling that some have found with other docks. So, now that we've talked a bit about these three docks, let's discuss some of the differences between them. Obviously, the official Valve Steam Deck docking station has some advantages over the competition. Starting with the port selection, you do get a DisplayPort and an HDMI port, allowing for multiple monitor configurations. Depending on who you are and how you plan to use the Steam Deck, this may not even be a concern. The USB ports on the official dock are USB 3.1, which the other two docks only feature USB 3.0. Again, this may not be an issue if you're not transferring a ton of data on a regular basis, but that is a notable difference in speed going from 5 megabits per second with 3.0 to 10 megabits per second with 3.1 respectively. The additional support from Valve in the form of firmware updates might be appealing, since they are promising some cool updates in the future. While getting another power adapter for the sake of convenience is nice, some may not care to pay as much for a dock that will sit in front of or underneath their TV for the occasional gaming session. And picking up a third-party power adapter could only cost you about $20, and you can make that decision later. These two third-party docks claim to be a bit more case-friendly, which, based on what I can see and doing a bit of research, since I don't currently own a case for my Steam Deck, I would have to say is quite true. While the official dock does not seem to match those claims, the slot being quite a bit smaller and the cable not having additional clearance for cases and thick skins. Price is probably the biggest differentiation between these three docks at the moment, and what may ultimately sway you to pick up either of these third-party docks instead of the official dock. While the official dock is priced at $89 on Steam, as of the posting of this video, on Amazon, the Funalot dock is currently $37.99 on sale from its regular price at $42.99. Plus, there is currently a $5 coupon that makes it even cheaper. The YYDSTDK dock is a mere $29.59, down from $36.99 due to a Black Friday Cyber Monday deal. Ultimately, it really boils down to your preference and how you think you'll be using your dock. The official dock is nice, but honestly, if all you want to do is play the occasional game on your TV, just pick up whichever dock is most affordable at the time, or whichever looks nicer to you. You cannot go wrong with any of these options that I've shown you today, and both the Funalot dock and the YYDSTDK have my seal of approval for being great value pickups if you know you won't take advantage of the added features that the official dock can provide. Again, just as a reminder that if you want to pick up anything that I featured in today's video, the Amazon affiliate links are in the description, as well as some other links to some products that may make your Steam Deck experience even better. A huge thank you for watching this video, for 10K views on a video that I thought wouldn't even get 100 views, and for commenting, liking, and subscribing. My goal for the end of this year is to hit 1K subs on YouTube, and I'm just under a quarter of the way there. Again, thank you, and we'll see you in the next video.